Yeah, there was definitely no question marks there for game number 1, but heading into game number 2, Gabe definitely looking to kind of put the last nail in the coffin in this best of 3. They want to try to get that 100 points really badly.
Absolutely. Hurriwind was also a big part of that game, coming out on the Janus. The ultimate's very important. And as I said before, listen, if you hit 1 or 2, I say, all right, you know what, maybe it's luck. But as we sit over the shoulder of Hurriwind and we see so many of these, all right, you literally showed us 1 and 2. But Hurriwind hit a lot more than that throughout the course of the afternoon and evening. And my point is, if you hit 1 or 2 of those ultimates, I say, you know what? No problem. It's just luck. But with the consistency that he's been able to hit those, I don't know about that.
I'm almost like not surprised anymore as the day progressed. Every single time he hits an ultimate, I'm just like, okay. The first one, hype. Second one, really hype. Third one, super hype. And then the fourth, fifth one, sixth one's like, is this guy ever gonna miss an ultimate?
I mean, by the time, so like the first one that we called earlier on, you and I stood up and we were like, he hits him from across the, and then this game we were like, and Hurriwind finds the ultimate.
Yeah, it was very casually the way we actually called it because we just expected to kind of happen. Like we saw the fail gang from Mexiety, and then all of a sudden, well, now he's dead. That's Hurriwind.
Hurriwind making sure to use all facets of the character, and it's interesting because Hurriwind is a player that I have looked to be the utility guy, not the kill guy.
Which is what he used to do when he was on the same team with Homie Efe back in Sword Gaming. He would play the Isis every now and then. He would go for this very defensive style-oriented build, going for the Breastplate of Valor, making sure that Homie Efe was the one that was going to be the damage source.
And that's where I found he was most successful. Playing that sort of defensive, utility-based mage, able to set up the team. He is very aggressive. You can see in some of the interviews that we did around Super Regionals time, you know, I asked him, I said, what's your play style like? He's like, honestly, I'm dangerous. I like to play aggressive and I get into trouble a lot because my positioning is, some people say bad, but I'm usually just up too far because I'm trying to get a kill. That's out of his mouth,
That's kind of what happens when you play with Baskin, though, to be honest.
So in that regard, you know, seeing him on the Janus, you kind of expect, like, all right, go the utility build, pop out the portals. But nah, he's building all power, and he's ulting everybody on the map. We'll see if he's going to be banned out as we get into picks and bans for game number 2. We're looking for the win here for Memory of Gabe. Of course, Town USA wants to stretch it to a 3rd game. This is the best of 3. We're actually correct on that this time, unlike the quarterfinals.
Well, the last semifinals, Memory of Gabe beat Astral Authority 2-1, so it's still up in the air to see how game number 2 is going to go. Whereas Town USA, they also went to a game number 3 against a Slaughter Slugs. So a lot can change between game number 1 and 2.
We'll certainly see, but if momentum and history prove to be any worthwhile person to listen to, Memory of Gabe certainly looked very strong.
Absolutely dominant. I'm not expecting much to really change here. Picks and bans still going to be the Nike first band away from Gabe, but the Sylvanas this time around. Last time it was the Raw.
I like that adjustment.
As game number 1. Sylvanas was very annoying. Eonic was always in the right position, abusing Balentine.
Yeah. I think the change to the Sylvanas band is the right choice. I'd like to see that. In Memory of Gabe, I'd like to see them, you know, I want to see Whalrus play Arlong Shen. Just to be that guy. Cope, no comfort for you.
The tier was good enough. I mean,
honestly, absolutely.
I would just stick with the tier.
They're going to ban the Arlong Shen.
They might even first pick tier.
I'm down to stick with the tier as long as they do something with Arlong, because Cope, and not that it's an issue, but that's the god he's played all day.
Well,
and if I'm in Memory of Gabe, I've been playing for 8-9 hours at this point in time. I don't want to game 3. I want to leave. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, Cope, sorry, dude. You don't get to play Arlong Shen. I'm coming out, and everybody loses.
Well, whether or not Arlong Shen was the issue, Cope was forcing it the whole day, and Memory of Gabe was not going to allow it to be an impact in this game. As Zeus is going to get banned away as well. Heading into the first pick from Gabe. I'm sorry?
Are you capable of saying the word issue without including the word force in the sentence?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, I love you, Anatoly. Glad to have you back.
I'm back.
Who is that guy we had at Worlds?
I have no idea, honestly.
Who is that guy?
I need to talk to my lawyer.
Yeah? I don't know who that guy was that we had at Worlds, but I'm glad to have you back on the desk.
It feels good to be back.
Certainly does. Zeus is the ban out of Town USA, and it'll be Cynosure's Ratatoskr. And this is the character that he made a name for himself on the console with, for sure. So I like to see the different approaches for In Memory of Gabe. Earlier on, we saw the Ratatoskr first pick for Cynosure, and then just last game, Cynosure's pick didn't come until number 4, right? So it's not like In Memory of Gabe is like, all right, we'll be nice to the console guy. He's the new one. Treat him like a rookie. They're sort of jockeying for position. Who gets the first pick? It's about the team more than the individual.
This setup is just too strong. We saw the Sylvanas first pick and because of the setup, and now with the Ratatoskr ban from Memory of Gabe, last game they didn't opt for that kind of option. They wanted to go for Sylvanas, so now the setup is still there. Now the question is, how are they going to adapt to this Ra and Jing way?
It's that group knockup that In Memory of Gabe is certainly looking for, whether it's Ratatoskr or Sylvanas, as you said. The Ra and Jing way. The Jing Wei, I don't think needs any adaptation. We've seen her come out, but the Ra is certainly a character that you sort of have to change the way you play around. The mid lane, Ra will provide a lot of sustain, both in combat, but more importantly, out of combat, allowing you to siege, back up, and then re-siege should you make a mistake or not be successful.
Well, it's very easy for Cynosure this game to be able to dive that Ra. Anytime he's going to drop that heal, if anyone gets low enough, they're trying to reset Cynosure. As long as he has that ultimate, it's not going to be easy for Town USA to escape.
Which is why we also see a Sobek pick. Now, sure, if you talk to Eonic, he'll take a Sobek pick in virtually any scenario, but Sobek is also extremely disruptive when it comes to the enemy team, specifically around when they want to be in a certain spot. Ra drops the heal, you walk in, you pluck one person out, you tail the other 3 out of the heal, and they really can't deal with it. Plus, Sickening Strike is going to lower that healing anyway. And then look, okay.
Janus.
They
didn't ban it. But to be fair, Zeus is also very annoying, but it's not a Zeus being paired up with a Sylvanas, right? Now, Ratatoskr and a Zeus, if you take away the ultimate from Ratatoskr, there's not much real setup. Ratatoskr would have to really put himself out of position to find the setup for the Zeus chain lightning detonate combination. So
can Viper not play Janus?
Ra is safer and just more setup potentially. Now Thor and Ra can easily get confirmed damage every single time that Thor wall is up. Whereas if you look at Janus, he has to be a little bit closer. And on top of that, the Searing Paint is a shorter cooldown, so you can consistently look for poke throughout. And the sustain is there.
That's everything on the paper.
Yes.
But you have to embrace, Smite is about what's off the paper.
Sure.
In this series, in this game, in this day, Hurriwind has just wrecked the game with Janus. Stats and numbers are all well and good.
Very obvious to everybody watching.
Yeah, sometimes you got to throw that stuff out and be like, look, the Janus has been too successful on this player. Let's take it away from him. I would have loved to see Town USA pick Janus for themselves.
This could also be a learning experience for them. They look back at this game. Let's say they do lose this game and, you know, Hurriwind goes off. They're like, Mel, maybe we should have taken it off the table yet again. You know, they could be thinking this way right now, what's on the paper, but once they learn, get some more experience, then they can start transitioning to that off paper.
As you said, a little bit more veteran leadership on the side of In Memory of Gabe. There's that tier. We're going to see Whalrus reprise his role one more time, and Terra will make herself known. This has been a very powerful god that has been underrepresented here of late.
You remember the days that Terra used to be first picked or banned off the bat?
That's what I'm saying. Why
Pepperidge Farm
is it?
Remembers.
Oh, God. You are a walking meme machine.
I'm not walking, though.
Where is the guy from Worlds? I actually want him back. He had a nice time. But so Terra, why did she disappear? So
a lot of teams allow Terra to go through because they found ways to just root cripple her into place, preventing the setup between the root herself that she provides, as well as the engage and the disengage.
Sure.
So if you can find whether it's the Poseidon or the Erlongshan, those were the #2 counters that both Obey Alliance and Energy had, just to allow Terra to constantly go through. And now without Poseidon or the Erlongshan on Memory of Gabe, this is why we see Town USA bringing it back into action.
You're also going to finish up their draft with a Guan Yu that winds up in the solo lane in the hands of Copebby. So, how soon are we seeing anti-heal being brought on by Memory of Gabe?
It's got to be probably the first offensive item coming out of Cynosure. Probably Brawler Speedstick almost immediately.
Do you expect to see a Divine Ruin out of Hurriwind?
Not necessarily. He still has to go the damage. As long as Cynosure gets the Brawler's Beatstick, that's all they really need, especially if he's looking to dive that backline with an ultimate of his own. He's just constantly getting into the thick of things, making Viper's life just a living hell.
Certainly be keeping an eye on that. We will definitely keep an eye on the anti-heal items, as Town USA have 2.5. Terra's a healer, but you know.
I mean, you could take out that obelisk or the monolith.
Exactly. So Terra, I think, is a little bit less of a healer than the pillars of healing like Guan and Ra, but certainly a part of it. In memory of Gabe, in memory of Speed Buff, they're planning the invade.
And I like what Sops is doing here also, going for the Ninja Tabby. Despite not getting any sort of sustain, having that Jing Wei passive can still clear really quickly, get back into the fountain, and then look for stuff. But now we see memory of Gabe. They're trying to get some sort of advantage in the early game.
Nice little pluck. Cope's going to take the 3, and that's going to be trouble. A lot of damage onto memory of Gabe. They're looking for the kill onto Cope, but Eonic very low. Cynosure also pretty low. Whalrus not anywhere close to low, however.
Eonic, though, he still has the pluck. He's boxing 1v1 against Balentine as Mexiety is 1v1ing Cynosure. This is not something you really want to do. Evading against a Thor and a Guan Yu.
Don't forget that Thor passive. He just gets stronger with the more people that are standing around him. There's 6 people there.
Yeah, the potions were used quite heavily. Viper, though, losing the 1v1 exchange against Hurriwind, still connecting with both orbs on that unstable vortex.
And Copebby, that's the surround that Gabe were looking for the entire time. Whalrus again gets first blood.
And that was really important for Whalrus to pick up the Wrath, because the initial invade, they recognized that, okay, Cope is going to get Telu Assault, Mexiety is going to get Berserker Barrage, we're going to get a Wrath and stun them both out of those abilities, and we're going to win the early exchange.
And that's exactly how that one went down. Hurriwind pushes and uses his mid lane pressure to clean up some left side mid harpies. And yet again, Whalrus will clean up the wave.
This is going to be a great advantage for Whalrus. We saw what he was able to do with an early lead in the last game, but now with this lead, Snoopy level 4.
So we were looking at the right side of the map the entire time. Snoopy has somehow found himself level 4. Sops was level 2, so Snoopy is an entire level and a half above his opponent.
Like we were talking about, he had to back because Sops started with Ninja Tabby. That's a full 1,500 gold. There's no room for potions in that build. So Sops got bullied out. He didn't want to overextend. He had to lose some experience.
And Cynosure in trouble here. Tallow Assault did a lot of damage. Fearless into the tower. Whalrus gets 2 right away. 2 kills in 2 minutes.
This could be so problematic now for Town USA. Whenever a solo laner gets 2 kills this early on and your teleport's already down, now you're going to miss out on another wave. We're going to see Whalrus hit level 5 momentarily, whereas Cope is still struggling to hit around level 4. Yeah, this is going to be lights out. Whalrus, as long as he continues to play solid from here on out, make the rotations, now he's going to utilize this Wrath offensively, look for more blue buff invades.
There's the ultimate down to Snoopy. Just clear the wave as quick as possible. It's also going to create a situation where Viper can't back up, and he's going to have to take a couple of basic attacks of poke.
And he's yet again, he got the 1 boar earlier on. He's going to confirm the second one. Sops is in trouble. He's level 4. Snoopy is level 6. We see a 1 level disparity in the soul lane as well. Town USA needs to find a way back into this quickly before it gets too out of hand.
Cope still the target here. Will heal himself up a little bit thanks to Balentine's little heal spot.
Eonic still applying pressure in that solo lane, getting these Fire Giant Elementals, constantly applying pressure in the solo lane is the theme of today's action.
So this is not the solo lane, this is the dual lane. Junglers have been here the entire time. Cope's the target, Cope is dead, Cynosure gets involved, that's gonna be the kill for the jungler. As we see, look at those slash lines, 201, 102. This is not the solo lane, this is a dual lane.
Pretty much, and 0/3, unfortunately for Cope. He has to figure out a way to really stop dying, honestly. It's worth sacrificing every single minion worth of gold at this point just to make sure you don't die any longer to get the experience. It's more valuable at this point to keep up the levels.
And especially with the Guan Yu, who's going to come into these fights and just not be as effective as the tier.
At this point, the tier will definitely just out-damage the Guan Yu. Guan Yu is more about doing a little bit of damage and then sustaining any sort of damage that the enemy team can do, whereas tier is just pure offense. Either he's going into the backline and just wrecking, or he's staying in his own backline and just peeling everybody off.
Which is something that I really like about tier is that you have that sort of fork in the road type character. If you get a lead, build, I mean, Chapo likes to build Transcendence, that's going the next level, but you can build aggressively and be aggressive and offensive, or be defensive depending on how your game is going.
A lot of ultimates being expended there, trying to apply more pressure onto Cope. Still sitting at level 4. We saw the Janus, the Ratatoskr ultimate being utilized there, the Thor, and the Terra ultimate just to make sure he would get under the safety of his own tier 1 tower. But now with blue buff spawning and speed buff on the side of Town USA, Memory of Gabe are positioning themselves for the invade. And
I like how Memory of Gabe has been able to sort of balance the map, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Hurriwind finds the trap. Hurriwind finds the juggler. Mexiety falls down. It's 4-zip in just as many minutes. And Memory of Gabe are going to use that pressure to go ahead and invade and take away the speed buff. There's the ultimate out of Cope, and everybody's happy for that.
Very smart ultimate there. Had he got stunned by Ratatoskr, that would have set up Eonic for the pluck, and then a Fearless onto Whalrus, and that would have been enough damage to confirm Cope for the 4th death in a row.
So what I was talking about is Memory of Gabe. They've been able to balance the map very, very importantly. Whalrus has gotten off to a fantastic lead, and so has Snoopy. So the majority of the team has just hung around mid lane, and that's kind of the norm in this meta, but you usually see shades to either side. They want to leave Snoopy and Whalrus alone and just say, do your thing. Cynosure, go hang out with Snoopy the entire, or go hang out with Whalrus the entire game. Abuse Cope, because that Guan is just going to be problematic later on in the game. So make sure he doesn't get off the ground. Snoopy, go do your thing, and we'll just hang out and hold hands in mid lane.
Left-hand side, Sops getting jumped on. Snoopy missing out on a few in-hands, but he doesn't miss out on the stun. Still poking out Sops. Going to get knocked up on his own. The ultimate is available for Sops, so Snoopy has to keep that in mind, and this is why he's going to retreat. Still stay in the laning phase because he has 30 stacks on those Devil Gloves. He wants to be able to just constantly heal. We see only tier 2 Devil Gloves for Sops.
And that is the type of lead that you only dream about.
Yeah.
Usually when we're sitting here looking at Devo Gloves, you're dissecting, oh, it's 30 stacks to 25 stacks. This guy is halfway done with his Devo Gloves before the enemy starts his. Ooh.
Yeah, only about a 300 gold lead on the side of Snoopy, but that's mostly because the fact that he was able to finish those Devil Gloves was because the boots was finished right away on the side of Sops, and then he goes for the Devil Gloves. So there's still about a huge gold disparity invested for those Dev's Toll on the side of Snoopy.
Early in this game, shy of 7 minutes, 4 kills to 0. Whalrus underneath the tower, Fearless power cleave, stand switch. He's not gonna look for the swag flip. Way off the mark.
Too aggressive. Whalrus is gonna pay with his life. The ultimate though through Hurriwind, not on the mark this time. There's aggression and then there's just over aggression.
Yeah, I think that was borderline. I don't hate the play, but obviously he could have not died there. So Snoopy again, he's by himself this time. Thor gonna land down, Snoopy likely to fall, and down he goes. Sops gets credit for that.
That's a scary position to be against a Hui. The triple bounce could easily take away either of those two players' lives if they're not careful.
So right here, Town USA finally gets on the board, and they do so in fantastic fashion as they wind up with 2 kills back-to-back on separate sides of the map.
Now, they're not going to get anything off these 2 kills, but they're basically delaying the pressure that Memory of Gabe has just been constantly applying to them, just telling them just to chill out. You know, like, okay, you failed that attempt to dive me on the tier 1 tower. You're not going to do that again, are you?
You know what?
Probably Whalrus will.
Whalrus will.
Knowing Whalrus, knowing Mark Baloney, he will.
And I don't know if I'd have an issue with it, because that was so. Assuming he actually hit the abilities, that's a clear kill.
Well, he hit every ability with the exception of the Lawbringer and the power cleave of the defensive stance.
Yeah.
Once that happened, he had like about 75% health just to walk away from the tower. But invading the speed buff now, Whalrus gonna hit the Lawbringer onto 2, finding the Fearless onto Mexiety.
And there's a nice little flip. Mexiety gets put down to the ground. That's gonna be the 2nd kill for Mr. Cynosure on the Ratatoskr.
Just great job. They're not done yet. Even though they lost 2 members in the last minute or so, they know they have this big of a lead to continue invading. They have the Wrath on Whalrus. The speed buff was denied, and now the blue buff as well. There's just not much that Town USA can do at this point.
Balentine's in trouble here.
The portal stopped the dash in the process, and Eonic had the presence of mind to cancel his ultimate early enough, making sure that he wouldn't steal the kill. And now Cynosure credited with that 3rd kill of the game for him.
Just where are you going? You're not going to run away from this team whatsoever. You've got a Janus, you've got a Ratatoskr, even Tier's going to flip over the wall. Where you going?
And then we're going to see Snoopy apply the vision. Whoever he marks is not going to be able to run away from that vision. So there's a lot of advantages already on the side of Gabe. Town USA, if they don't find a way to slow down Gabe, this is going to get out of control. In that last game that was 28-6, can be separated even further this game.
Yeah, I mean, look at the experience, Tully. This early on, we're sub 10 minutes, and the experience cap is 6,000 gold.
No gold here is being taken either.
Or experience, rather. Yeah, with no objectives being taken, you've got a 4,000 gold lead and a 6,000 experience lead. I mean, that's...
This is a very...
It's an uphill battle.
I mean, it seems like this team has been playing forever, almost, at this point. The way they've been handling themselves. I just like the whole 3v3. Now, at first I didn't like it because it was a Thor and a Guan, but then the fact that they had the Wrath on Whalrus just to be able to prevent those two abilities, it made even more sense.
Eonic's here in the mid lane on that Sobek. Using the jello skin. That red skin. I think it's one of the grosser skins. It's not ugly, it's just gross. He's got this like gel on his body.
It's like the Vamana Smurf skin.
The blue one?
The Vamana Smurf skin. The blue one.
Yeah. I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, that one just irks me.
Eonic taking the aggressive stance into the mid lane, finds a knock up, and Viper is going to avoid the damage. Not on a Hurriwind, however.
Is he going to use it?
Nah, he's going to wait it out. He's definitely going to wait that one out.
I wanted to see him use it. He's thinking about it. He might use it in soul lane, actually.
Well, Whalrus is looking for it.
Oh, beautiful stun to prevent the Guan Utalo Assault, which will prevent the Fearless. Great play coming out of Mark Maloney.
It's the small things, man. That's so impressive. Speaking of the small things, look at the way Hurriwind exits the situation and hits the objective. Oh, they not. I think they could have stuck to the Gold Fury.
They could have definitely forced it.
Yeah. Now they're going to rethink it. Take it on the second chance.
They got it with Whalrus here in position. Cynosure zoning out with the Eonic. This is free. 11 minutes into the game, and we saw it the last game. It took 20 minutes until the Gold Fury was being taken by Gabe. So this time around, they're 9 minutes ahead of schedule. It's like a speed run.
As I said, I mean, in memory of Gabe, this is their 9th hour of playing, most likely, something like that. They're just trying to get out of here, man. They're like, all right, you know what, Chapo? You made me play for an hour. You and Uzi, good job. I tip my hat to you. Everyone else, we're here to beat you and leave. And we're invading your speed buff. We're getting Wrath. I don't care if you have a Thor and a Guan.
They hungry.
We're still invading you.
They hungry. They want their food. They want their din-dins right now. It's that time of the night, man.
They got reservations.
They got
somewhere.
their ramen, you know?
I mean, Eonic and Snoopy. Is Snoopy still down here in the south?
I think so. I want to say yes.
Eonic and Snoopy, they got reservations at Nobu. They're going right away.
They're going to Cookout. That's where they're going.
You don't need reservations for Cookout, Tolly.
I mean, there could be. Cookout's pretty popping.
Oh my goodness. I went to Cookout on New Year's Eve once with Dan. We ordered 37 cheeseburgers. The woman looked at us like we had 3 heads. I said, no, that's Scylla. But there's no Scylla in this game.
Not in this game.
It's Hurriwind on the Janus versus a Viper on the Ra. 0-0-0 for the Ra. Viper has been a complete non-impact. The heal has not come into any situation. No fantastic ultimates, no long-range damage, non-impact.
The problem is Mexiety hasn't been in a position to set up a Viper, but now he's in the sky. He's trying to save sops. He's going to find Snoopy, but the Sanctuary are keeping him alive. The ultimate connecting onto Snoopy, but the double tap good enough.
It's just like he heard me say it. Finally, we see the ultimate out of the mid lane rod. It comes to fruition. Damage dealt, and the kill is there. Cynosure answers back, number 4 for the Rodent. And here's the rotation. Mark Maloney flipping over the top. Fearless into the power cleave. Balentine's the target, and he's under control.
Great
Beautiful
Wrath.
stun, and still looking for the damage.
Eonic wants to find a little bit more. There's no mana, though, for Whalrus. He's trying to run away. He could utilize some portals. A nice little knock up there. The Unstable Vortex doing a lot of damage. Shell keeping Whalrus alive for a little bit. Portal getting 3 people. Purification being used on Viper. Cynosure still in the mid lane. Gonna wrap around and look for a flank or a red buff invade instead.
Yeah,
Whalrus is cleanly running away.
Ooh, Whalrus barely gets out of there. He'll be safe as he continues to run past his tier 2 tower. Red buff invade happening right here.
So
Hurriwind
close.
will just watch as it goes down.
Well, they invaded a red buff on their own at the same time. Cynosure elected not to save Whalrus, thinking that he would still be fine, and even if he's not fine, he'll at least get a red buff for his troubles.
And it worked out. 8 kills to 3 so far, 14 on the clock. And just shy of 6,000 gold is Memory of Gabe in the lead. Their experience also doing pretty. Just about 8,000 experience.
This has been the Whalrus show this whole game. The last game was definitely, I would say, a little bit of Hurriwind and Whalrus, but this time it's been all Mr. Maloney.
And again, I think that's part of his maturation, if you will. For rookie players, I think last year Whalrus winds up with those 2 early kills and sits in lane the whole time. He just looks for the 1v1s. Now he understands he has to take it to the team fight. Up in the sky goes Cynosure looking for the team fight. Double knockup. Hurriwind gets the ultimate. Here comes more damage, but Cope is here to help out heal. There's Viper. He gets flipped on. Power cleave. Doesn't even need the Fearless. Cope answers back by taking down the support. There's Mark Maloney on the left dealing with the Hunter, while Hurriwind deals with the jungler.
Mexiety's going to take a spill. 2 for 1 on the side of Memory of Gabe. Eonic sacrificing his life brilliantly there. And now the Tier 1 tower is still going to get looked out here by Snoopy, while Cynosure invading another buff, taking away the speed buff, transitioning to the right-hand side, looking for that Tier 1.
Hurriwind through the wall, shooting out those unstables, just dealing a little bit of damage.
So much farming control coming on the side of Memory of Gabe. They're able to find these little picks, but instead of going for these towers, they're looking for the buff invades, the constant pressure for the waves, and that's what's getting them such a lead in the experience department. We see a 3-level lead on the side between Cope and Whalrus.
And that's where you get into trouble. Whalrus is level 15. He's 3 levels above the Soul Laner. He can do whatever he wants.
Yep, pretty much.
He can do anything he wants. He can walk into the enemy's 1v3, no problem. He's got the tier heal, so he's going to be able to do it twice, basically. Yeah, I mean, Whalrus right now is just out of control. The build, as standard as they come. Nothing fancy in the build, nothing fancy as far as that's concerned. Just good old-fashioned Smite play.
And something we haven't really highlighted was just how well Cynosure has been doing. You know,
exactly.
He hasn't died this whole entire game. After finishing off that hi-rez Lament, he did go for that anti-heal, going for that Brawler's Beatstick, trying to shut down Cope, trying to shut down Viper, and a little bit of Balentine. So he's just been always looking for these ultimates, and here's another one.
And there's going to be the hit onto the Hunter. And we'll see you later, Sops. We'll see you later.
That damage. Look at the player damage. Whalrus at the top of the charts. Hurriwind for his team right behind him. Sops has been doing a good job for the player damage, but only 4 kills for his team being credited. Now, second Gold Fury for Memory of Gabe, heading into the 17-minute mark.
Yeah, well, this is what I mean by you can do anything. What are you going to do? Whalrus walks past Cope, just takes his tower. You really going to fight me, Cope? No, you're not, so I'm going to take your tower. 2 of my friends are going to take Gold Fury. There was an invade going on near the red buff as well.
Rest in peace.
Memory of Gabe are just controlling this game in every facet. There it is. Balentine shoved into the wall. The surrender vote comes out. Everybody on the side of Town USA is frustrated. Cope gets on the horse, and he's going to fall down one more time.
Snoopy, though, he finds the stun onto Sops, though the rest of Memory of Gabe trying to help out Snoopy. Unstable Vortex, good enough. Nowhere for Sops to go, but back to the graveyard. 3 members dead. Surrender vote before the 18-minute mark. 2-0 for Memory of Gabe. They get their 100 points. Clean.
Surrender vote in a game 2 of a best-of-3 series?
They were down 10,000 gold, 17.5 minutes in.
But that's
honestly,
the end. Now they lose.
Yep.
Okay.
It's week 1.
Multi-week scenario, they're able to get the points for game. Okay.
Usa.
I'm less offended there.
Usa.
Because you understand where I'm coming from.
No, I absolutely do. In do or die situations, you just have to play it to the end. But it is week 1. There's realistically a 0.00001% chance of them coming back. We've seen some epic comebacks,
of course.
But it's been like later stages of the game where it's like beyond 30 minutes. If there's a 30-minute lead of 10,000 gold or so, sure, maybe you come back. 17.5 minutes, that 10,000 gold is about to be 15,000 in the next 6 minutes or so.
Yeah, and like I said, keep in mind this is a multi-week situation. We're going to come back next Saturday to do Europe and next Sunday to do North America, and that's why I'm not angry. If this was a 1-week scenario where first place is winner takes all, I'm sitting here and I am going on a 10-minute harangue about how dare you. I don't get, like, in that situation, if 0.01% chance to continue, you keep going for it. But as we said, this is all about the points.
It's all about the standings.
Let's take a look at the standings.
It's going to be 100 points for In Memory of Gabe with a great performance from every single member. More importantly, from Mr. Mark Maloney and Hurriwind. Town USA going to walk away with 60 points. Astral Authority losing to In Memory of Gabe in the semifinals, whereas Slaughterhouse lost the 3rd versus 4th place against the Astral Authority.
Everyday Gains picks up 10 points for what was arguably the best performance we saw today. Gabe, I implore you, if you picked up the broadcast a little bit late and watched the semifinals and the finals, go back and watch the quarterfinal single game between Everyday Gains and In Memory of Gabe. In Memory of Gabe are this team of veterans, and then Everyday Gains is basically console sore. They have a different hunter.
Yep.
It's basically console sore. And they fought for over an hour, 60 minutes and 17 seconds. They fought for over an hour against a team that just obliterated the enemy in the finals. Certainly worth a watch. And if you ask me, my personal game of the day, that's it.
Absolutely. It was a great day of Smite overall for the first week of the North America Season 4 Open Bracket Qualifiers. I'm really looking forward to how these teams adapt into week number 2.
Exactly. We've got a ton of teams to look out for, and as we said, very excited about where In Memory of Gabe is going. And what's even more exciting is that when we saw Soar come out last season, right? That was the super team. It's Andy meeting up with it, and the ceiling is very close to where you start.
Yep.
Because, sure, synergy can build up and blah, 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 but these players are where they're at. They're going to be as good as they are. Cynosure and Whalrus, those ceilings are much higher, and we're already seeing them fantastically perform.
They're as good as we thought they were.
I am very, very excited for this upcoming season. As we said, don't forget, Saturday and Sunday, we'll see it one more time. European and North American Relegations week number 2. What are you doing this week, Tolly? Anything big happening?
There might be some big things happening in my neck of the woods. We'll see.
I was looking for something like actually specific.
Can't discuss it.
Tolly's going clubbing. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going to go do something. Thank you very much for joining us. We love each and every single one of you. Shouts to production for putting on a fantastic show. Shouts to Aggro and Hindu Man for locking down some of the other games. Shouts to Tolly, and of course, shouts to me. We'll catch you next week. Peace, and much love to you.